Gaming and leisure group Sun International, with a market cap of 8.7 billion rand in February, reported a 2% increase in first half adjusted headline earnings to 220 million rand. An interim dividend of 80 cents per share was declared. And obviously, Sun International is plagued with the same problems facing Tsogo Sun.
Yeah, absolutely. Occupancy rates also dismal. But of course, they own Sun City and Carnival City, so they've got very, very good hotels. They've got hotels ranging from, I think it's from 2 to 5 star. So they've got a nice array of different hotels. And of course, they face the same concerns with regard to consumer spending. And I think with the likes of Table Bay, that hotel is really underperforming, I think, relative to the rest of the business.
About 40% occupancy, I thought the last numbers that I saw.
Yeah, around 41 or 42%, correct, whereas the average industry is sitting at 52%. They've actually decreased their average night per hotel room, I think, across the board as well. So just generally tough environment for them. They've just done quite a big deal with Grand Parade Investments, which we'll discuss. And I think that's very good for both businesses going forward.
Sun International, obviously, now let's just focus for a moment on the hotel aspect and the pretty somber picture that Dan has just painted for us there.
Yeah, although I'm not too worried. I mean, you know, the hotel business is a bit cyclical, and it's a combination of, you know, global travel trends, you know, cost of flying, local travel trends, which are more linked to the local economy, because that's kind of business and internal leisure travel. So I think that will recover. So, you know, if, for example, you're owning City Lodge shares, which is a pure play in that space, I think that's fine. But as I said to you earlier, Sun International is much more a function of consumer spending and gambling. Remember, there's the Chilean thing, though. They own that asset in Chile, they had an earthquake, they got insurance payout. So that's perhaps an interesting side story for them, is that they've got that stake in a growth industry there.
Can I put something else to you? Perhaps we've actually changed the economics of the hotel industry in South Africa for some time, given the building that came on with the World Cup, and that supply, or that oversupply, could be here and a game changer for many years out. This is not necessarily a cyclical issue only.
Yeah, it depends how that was funded. In, you know, some cases people geared up and expanded and took debt on the balance sheet in order to add new rooms. But I don't think that is in itself a fundamental change. You know, in the course of any country's investment cycle, you get these booms and busts. So I don't think you can blame them for it. It happens in every industry. So in the hotel space, you know, it's going to happen. There are people who are happily funding these things. Some of the Sun International rooms traditionally were funded by Liberty Properties and others that have been their partners as they've gone along. So they make money from the management contracts and so on and so forth. So they'll be fine. They'll come back.
Do you follow my argument on that front, that perhaps we fundamentally changed the economics of the hotel industry in South Africa? Because I still believe that we actually came online with too many hotel rooms, and far too many hotel rooms. We're not going to see an influx of tourists that the likes of which were expected in the World Cup anytime soon, irrespective of whether the economy recovers or not. That was a super boom or a super boost.
Yeah, well, of course, now all these big hotels have come off a really high base. So I think it was known that there'd be a drop in their vacancies in their rooms. But, you know, nonetheless, a lot of these hotels are still actually expanding and, of course, doing renovations. The likes of Sun International, they're actually busy upgrading now. I think it's the West Coast Casino, as well as the Grayston Hotel.
Which economists have they been speaking to? Which economists have they been speaking to?
Well, obviously they foresee a need. I think with the Grayston Hotel here in Sandton, they foresee a lot of international business tourists coming to stay at their hotel, and that's the reason that they said they're expanding that. They pumped, I think it's over 100 million rand into that. So they obviously foresee probably these occupancy rates to increase, which is quite likely. I don't see why not. I mean, the global economy is very sluggish, and these do happen in cycles. So if the cycle turns, you know, there'll be a lot more tourists visiting South Africa, and therefore hopefully filling up these hotels.
Well, a lot more tourists are needed to get that capacity back online. Hot or not, Sun International.
Management change, David Coutts-Trotter out, new CEO in, clearly board not happy, sluggish performer, not hot for me.
Dan?
Mixed. I'm mixed. I'm probably even slightly below lukewarm. It's been in a very, very sideways trading channel for the past couple of years. It's now just recently broken down below 80 Rand at around 78 Rand 50. It looks very weak technically. Also, as Paul said, the CEO, you know, he actually resigned with immediate effect end of November. I think there's a temporary CEO in there now. I'm not too sure when he'll be replaced.
Never a good
But
thing when you've got changes
I don't know.
and uncertainty
I
in
think,
management.
I think there's somewhat space in an equity portfolio to hold one of these sort of stocks, but I wouldn't have huge exposure to it. Again, going back to the dividend, that will pay decent dividends.